Висота 2 метри. Підходжу зліва.
Тор розвертається. Швидше.
Є, тримаю його за вантажівкою. Мисо! Мисо!
Six targets detected, locking on. Six perfect hits.
Contact, 4 kilometers. Missile 1 away. First group destroyed. Second target locked. Firing. Missile 2 away.
Tracking. Good hit. Drone 2 neutralized.
Beginning contact spreading. Preparing next shot.
Keep them in the net. We're not done.
Shoot and scoot! Now!
At 1347, from a concealed position 2.5 kilometers inside the Ukrainian border, 18 brushless motors spun to life. A vital Russian logistics convoy carrying fuel and artillery ammunition was on the move in the Kursk region. Ukrainian operators knew the convoy was not alone, as intelligence reports placed one Tor M2 system and at least one Strela 10 unit as escorts. At 1350 sharp, the first phase of the operation began. 6 FPV drones from the first group ascended into the sky, intentionally flying high at 300 meters in a loose but mathematically predictable formation, a perfect lure. Inside the Tor M2 command vehicle, an operator monitored his screen as the PESA radar acquired 6 contacts that appeared to be legitimate threats. The operator didn't hesitate. 6 targets detected, locking on, he announced. Within seconds, the system launched 6 9M331 missiles, sending 6 smoke trails streaking from the launcher. 90 seconds later, the 6 contacts vanished. The operator had just scored 6 perfect hits, but he didn't know that he had just lost. He had used 6 high-value missiles to destroy 6 cheap decoys. As the Tor began its 45-second rescan cycle, a critical window of opportunity opened. 12 FPV drones from Wave 2 rushed in. This group flew from a completely different direction at a 90-degree angle from the first vector, using an extremely low flight path of just 15 meters to follow the contours of the land and trees. They were flying below the effective horizon of the Tor's radar. A radar is like a flashlight on a hill. It cannot see what is in the trench directly beneath it, leaving the $25 million system completely blind to 12 threats, each costing $400. At 1354, the 12 Wave 2 drones emerged from their terrain cover. They had bypassed the Tor, but flew directly into the range of the Strela 10. Unlike the Tor, which relies on radar, the Strela uses passive infrared imaging. If the Tor is the ear listening for thunder, the Strela is the eye looking for the heat flash. The Strela operator caught the small heat signatures from the drone motors. "Contact, range 4 kilometers," he yelled. A 9M37 missile leaped from the launch rail, locked onto the first FPV and detonated it in midair. 1 drone down. The Strela immediately locked onto a second target and fired again. The second missile flew true, neutralizing the second FPV. 2 drones down. The Strela system locked on to a third target and fired, but this time the FPV operator in Ukraine saw the launch flash in his goggles. He slammed the control stick to the right, forcing the 8-kilogram drone into a sharp split S maneuver, diving and rotating 180 degrees to break the missile's infrared lock. The 9M37 missile, designed to chase jet engine heat, was fooled by the small electric motor's signature and the sudden maneuver, flying wide by 50 meters and detonating harmlessly. Inside the Strela, the commander yelled, "Shoot and scoot, now!" The crew immediately began repositioning their vehicle to avoid counterfire. But the FPV operator, who had just evaded, saw the movement below and had a split second to make a tactical decision. Instead of proceeding to the convoy, the PV pilot rerouted his RPG-7 equipped drone, diving it directly onto the repositioning Strela. The crew was focused on moving when the munition penetrated the thin top armor. The explosion ignited the remaining missiles on the Strela's rails, turning the multi-million-dollar air defense system into a very expensive smoking wreck. A significant gap was now open in the defenses, and the 9 remaining FPV drones had free access. The truck drivers in the convoy were now on their own. In Kursk, the destruction began as 9 FPV drones descended on the panicking convoy. The first drone struck a fuel tanker, creating an instant fireball that sent molten metal and burning fuel showering over the truck behind it. 2 more drones struck other tankers, transforming the road into a wall of fire with thick black smoke billowing hundreds of meters high. The 6 remaining drones now had clear targets, and their operators worked methodically, navigating through the smoke. 1 drone dove and struck just above the cab of an ammunition truck. The explosion detonated the 152mm shells inside. The final 5 drones followed, striking the remaining ammunition trucks and setting off a chain of secondary explosions down the road, one after another. At 13:59, the final FPV feed went static. 12 logistics trucks were completely destroyed. In 12 minutes, 18 FPV drones worth a total of $7,200 had overcome a layered air defense network worth tens of millions of dollars. 6 drones were used as a lure to deplete the Tor M2 system. 2 were lost to Strela missile fire, and 1 was expended to neutralize the Strela. The remaining 9 drones destroyed 12 vital logistics trucks, effectively severing the supply line of ammunition and fuel to the Kursk forward sector. The immediate impact of this meticulously planned operation was the catastrophic failure of the convoy's layered protection and the ensuing destruction of its transport assets. The operation successfully removed 2 high-value air defense systems, the Tor M2, disabled by a tactical deception that exhausted its missile stores, and the Strela 10, neutralized by a close-range sacrificial strike. Furthermore, the loss of 12 fully loaded logistics vehicles carrying both bulk fuel and heavy 152mm artillery shells critically crippled the supply chain for the entire Kursk forward sector. This localized disruption will necessitate an immediate and costly diversion of replacement assets, directly impacting the operational tempo and sustainability of ground forces dependent on these supplies. Strategically, this engagement demonstrated a profound shift in the cost dynamics of modern warfare. The entire defense network and transport column, representing an investment of tens of millions of dollars in highly sophisticated hardware, was rendered obsolete and destroyed by an expendable drone swarm costing less than $7,200. This overwhelming exchange ratio confirms that low-cost, mass-produced assets, when employed with layered tactical deception and synchronized timing, can achieve decisive localized superiority against sophisticated, high-value systems.